time, long time, long time.
Woo! That's it, El. You're doing great.
What happened to that one kid I used to hang with all the time?
You don't remember?
Remember what?
You really don't remember.
I don't know what more you want me to remember.
What are you gonna do? He's now or never.
Hello.
Boom, there you go. That was a trailer for Nickel Boys, arriving in select theaters on October 25th with a wider release to be determined very soon. I can't wait for y'all to see it, y'all. I am Patrick, Kuya P, Nerds Rule the World. Joining me to talk all things Nickel Boys is the writer, director, RaMell Ross. Thank you so much for your time today, sir. I appreciate you.
Pleasure. Same.
So what are the vibes right now? I know we're in the midst of, for you, the Middleburg Film Festival. The film is touring, the festival circuit until it gets the release. What are the vibes, the energy now to get that feedback after all this hard work? As I told you earlier, as a filmmaker, we put all this time into these projects, and to finally get that, reception, to hear what people thought of the work that we did is just... it's everything. It makes us feel like we're actually doing something with our work and our lives. What are the vibes right now? You're at Middleburg right now, getting the feedback now. How has it been?
It's good. I mean, the vibes for me are always mysterious because the film is at least this one particularly is very, very, very subjective. Like, it produces a subjective response, and all the crowds across the places where screening the film are so different. And so coming here, like, this is a kind of DC crowd, and what does that mean, and how do they view things? And it's mysterious, but also energetic.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm happy that you're getting it, because I think we feed off of that. It lets us informs us of what we're doing. I screened this recently. I had the pleasure of screening this recently, and my first thoughts coming out of it, this was something that I hadn't seen before. I've never seen first person kind of perspective period drama, if you will, which your film is, and was just somewhat speechless. Jen, who's assisting us today, she was like, what are your thoughts? I'm like, I need this weight to come off of me first, because there's a weight to it, because it's hitting on so many important issues. And then not too long after, I told her this is one of the year's best. Congratulations, you've created, as this poster says, an American masterpiece. Where did the idea to do such a different, innovative kind of period story in this kind of fashion come from for you?
Yeah, I love the question and kind of the enthusiasm behind the way in which you asked it, because that's kind of how it came about, right? I read the book and it's like, wow, like, generally speaking, history has never given subjectivity to characters or to people. We kind of always see them as someone that's out there in the world, like as another, but they all have their own sort of inner life, of course, and the world revolves around them. And wouldn't it be fascinating for these young Black kids, and that originated, as the Dozier School for Boys, to give them the power of perception and to not see them, but to see from them. And so it was the first idea, but it came apart like with this kind of wild, like, oh my God, would not this be incredible if it worked,
Definitely. After those thoughts, like I said, I've never seen anything like this before. I then tuned into, as a person who's a person of color, my wife's Black. I come from a family of activists here in the DC area. I was like, yes, we can now kind of inform the audience, put them into our perspective. And I just love this. And like you were saying, you were curious how it's going to play out in different areas. I'm so intrigued what the feedback you're getting, like how this is going to play, because I think a lot of people need to see this so they can kind of be in our shoes. But then at the same time, I wonder if they'll want to get into our shoes. Like so I'm going to push the hell out of it, because like I think everyone needs to see this. But yeah, so if you can tell me just what has that been like, we don't know our stories and all of that.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because we're asking a lot of people. We're asking people to let go of themselves, which one could say is the hardest thing for a human being to do, right? Let go of yourself, let go of judgment, let go of all of your expectations, and just like kind of go along for a ride without this sort of critical, executive function that we always have in our brain. And so it's very challenging. I find, some people are really, really, really moved, and some people are kind of stuck at the screen. They're kind of like not able to really, really, really look simultaneously with the characters. And I think only time will tell how effective it truly is. But I know that if a person completely gives way to the film, that they'll feel something. They'll understand something about the experience of folks like us.
Definitely. And I just got to give you your virtual flowers, because as a creative, as filmmaker, I told you, like, my whole thing is to entertain and as well as inspire and educate. And you've done that hands down with this. Bravo, sir. I'm thankful for you and this film. With that being said, throwing that filmmaker hat on, it had to be insane to create this. Like, what was that pre-pro like? Because you're doing something so different. How was this production? Just like framing up the shots, the perspectives, everything, your actors to either be there on set every day to kind of feed and work with the other actors. Can you just tell me what that was like? Because I can't imagine how difficult that was.
Yeah, I think maybe the hardest part was the preparation. We fortunately the script, the original treatment and script was all images and camera movement, because the film is written visually, and so thinking about the way that each person sees the world, and then trying to, so I made this film, Hell County, this evening, and an idea that we had early on, my co-writer, Jocelyn Barnes, and I, was what if Elwood and Turner had their own cameras to make their own Hell County in the 60s and 70s, which would allow us to think about just them moving and them sort of looking around. And so with that, we kind of then started building the language into it, the more traditional scripted language, and then converted it into a script that's kind of more readable. And then, we actually siloed each department away from the heavy concepts of the film, because we didn't want to burden them with having to think about, where the camera's going to be doing this, and so this, and so this, and so these characters are going to be looking into the eyes of the camera, which is abnormal, and so are these extras. And so we just dealt with each sort of problem as they came along. But I will say the most powerful part was when it sort of activated for even us, right? That whoever was operating the camera, and Jomo Frey was our DP, like what a wonderful, brilliant guy. And he operated, I think, most of the time when it's face to face with the characters, he actually has to respond to them and actually has to try to look as sentiently as possible. And like with that, the set just becomes a different thing. The camera is not invisible. It's not floating around. It's like, it's fully integrated, and maybe that's what cinema is doing here. It's where it's sort of like fully integrated into life.
Bravo. Your entire team. Shout out to y'all's entire team on Nickel Boys. Just amazing. Again, it's an American masterpiece. Y'all go check it out when it drops on October 25th in select theaters. So in pre-production and getting ready to shoot, was there like certain line items, like this has to be, the one that you need to get right? You know how like there's certain parts of the scripts, like this has to be on point. Was there anything that you can speak to that point that like, okay, I have to have this right, that just kind of stood out?
Yeah, for sure. But it's kind of a cop out, because the film it has so few traditional scenes. And of course, they're not shot traditionally, nor are they acted traditionally, that we knew we had to nail the bar scene with Chicky Pete. We knew we had to nail the infirmary scene when Elwood gets beat and he has that first sort of true exchange with Turner. We knew we had to nail the scene when Hattie comes. And to nail it, I think we realize there's many ways to do that. You know, when you're writing it, you think that it's this line's delivery, or it's the way in which this person responds to this person. But truly, it's kind of having something in the scene that elevates it beyond what is film and what is cinema and what is a camera catching it. And that's kind of where the actors come in. And as you know, they brought their A game, and each of them in every one of those scenes elevated all of the components from production to have it feel like something that is actually something.
And they definitely did. I guess one of the thoughts that I had was there an informed way the camera worked differently when it shifted to the other character's perspective?
I love that question. Yeah, there's a sort of poetics that we wanted to give Elwood early on, and a sort of concentration on the banal, and I like to call it the epic banal, like these really magnificently beautiful moments that are like metaphoric and socially interesting, but they're also just quotidian and they're kind of whatever. And then we wanted to give Turner a sort of more institutional look. So he's kind of almost wide angle, though he isn't. We're shooting everything with long lenses, concentrated more on, you know, like the best example is in the boxing scene where you have Turner only looking at the fight. That's the only thing he cares about. And Elwood only looking at the audience and the money being passed, because he's interested in the system that's producing this spectacle. And Turner sort of wrapped up in whether or not the black kid's going to beat the white kid. And so, yeah, on a practical sense, it was those things.
Awesome. I was curious. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's talk about this amazing cast. In particular, I have to ask you about one of my favorite actresses out right now. She's literally killing it.
Right.
Anjanou Ellis-Taylor. I recently saw Exhibiting Forgiveness right around the same time, and just amazing performances. Can you tell me about Anjanou? Because as an empath, like that scene when she comes back and tries to visit, but isn't able to, I was balling. I'll admit it. Can you tell me about Anjanou and the rest of your brilliant cast, RaMell?
Yeah. She's the one. She's actually who was the first person we wanted for this. And we were like, if we get Anjanou, we have a chance, you know, because how do you hold the entire emotional weight of the film? Like, we needed one actor to do that. And I mean, what a pleasure. Also, she did that sort of elevate the scene thing to the entire like cast and crew. Like, she comes on, she's so dialed in, she's always in character, and it really just brought like this aliveness to set that I think paid dividends in ways that we can't even measure.
Wonderful. Again, just brilliant. To close this out, and again, thank you so much for your time, RaMell. I could just talk your ear off because I love this film so much, and I will be talking award season as we get closer because I think y'all deserve all of it. I actually had that perspective last year with another filmmaker, and he really capped on all the awards. So hopefully I'm spreading my juju onto you.
Well, you've got that luck. Yeah, thank you for us. We need it. It's tough out there. There's some really, really, really great films, you know?
It is, and well, your film is deserving of everything. What do you hope people leave with after seeing Nickel Boys when it arrives in theaters?
Yeah, I hope that audiences have a genuine experience, and I mean like the type of experience, you know, when you walk outside and you see a shooting star, and all of a sudden that synchronizes with some belief system you have, and it's more meaningful than, you know, just looking up and seeing a plane go by. Just some experience that gives them a memory, some experience that allows them to feel embodied. And I think if we can do that in the context of Coulson's story, then that's something.
Wonderful. Well, RaMell, again, wishing you all the love, support, sending the virtual flowers, especially also come this award season. But this poster really says it. American Masterpiece, one of these year's best. I'm so thankful to talk to you, RaMell, and I'll be cheering you on come the award season. But thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Definitely. Everybody, Nickel Boys arrives in select theaters on October 25th. Wider release very soon after that. I'm Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World. There's a cut. There you go. All right. All right, here we go. In a 1, 2, 3.